What's going on, guys? This is Evan, the Xenogears enthusiast, bringing you a gameplay commentary for a set of TDM games on Kowloon in Hangar 18. This time I try to bring out something a little special here. You'll see the class there on the screen. This is a infrared scope gameplay. There's not too many of these on YouTube, so I figured I'd go ahead and upload one. On this video I hope to discuss some tips and tricks on how to use the IR scope, and I wanted to explain, well, it doesn't need to explain, but I want to help explain the limitations of the IR scope and how to use it. Of course, the best piece of advice I can give you for the IR scope is just don't use it. You really shouldn't. First off, let me just start the commentary by saying, if you're looking at this video for like advice on how to make the IR scope good, I don't think there's a way. The IR scope is just terrible on most weapons. You can put on the sniper rifles, but even then, it's usually inferior to the normal telescopic scope, like with variable zoom or really just without an attachment. But if you're like me and you just like to mix it up and try weird things, even if you don't expect it to be the best thing in the world, then the IR scope's for you, because it is a lot of fun to use. The ugly blue snow that you get to aim through. You see, in a little history on the infrared scope, in Modern Warfare 2, and I never actually used the IR in COD 4 or World at War, but in sort of Modern Warfare 2, since stopping power occupied the same spot as Ghost, which was cold-blooded at the time, people basically ran stopping power maybe 75% or more of the time, 90% in my experience, but I assume I just wasn't running into cold-blooded people a lot. Anyway, the point is, when you used infrared, not only was it, more accessible in that the infrared scope on most guns was actually remained pretty accurate, but it, most people weren't cold-blooded, so you could actually get people with it, and so infrared sniping was actually really common, and it was sort of like the training wheels for your sniper rifle. And I really liked that. That's how I learned to snipe at least reasonably well, is when, I was playing Modern Warfare 2 and I'd never sniped on a Call of Duty game before. I put the infrared scope on to help me find targets and cover and see where people like to defend and stuff like that. So anyway, that's sort of the history on the IR scope. In this game, of course, there's a lot of ghost people, and the IR scope just isn't as accurate or usable as it used to be. The weapon choice of the Enfield is deliberate, which I'll explain here in a moment. But first, I want to explain just the general, the basics of the IR scope, and that is, of course, that it actually affects the way your weapon mechanics work, or gives you the unique IR scope, where you have to hold your breath like a sniper rifle. I'm making this commentary assuming you've never used it before, so I'm going to go over some of the really basic things. When you pull it up, you actually have to hold your breath like a sniper rifle to steady the aim, and then, of course, once you start firing full auto or tap firing or whatever it is you're doing, your reticle will move. Think about the IR scope. Apparently, Treyarch must have felt as though the IR scope was going to be overpowered, or they were terrified it would be overpowered, because the amount of built-in things they've added to make sure it's terrible is quite impressive. Okay, when you put an IR scope on a weapon, not only do you get a very narrow field of view, probably even lower than sniper rifles, and you can't see ghost people because they don't show up on the infrared, because they're ghosts, and ghost beats everything. Ghost is all-powerful. But, sorry, all-powerful, sort of an Excalizor's statement, but I've been watching a lot of his commentaries. For those of you who haven't seen it, go check out Excalizor's. He's a huge YouTube commentator, and his live Brolympia stories and his Master Key stuff is hilarious. But, anyway, the IR scope, when you put it on a weapon, actually lowers your center speed. If you don't understand what that means, it just makes the weapon less accurate, it gives it more recoil. The reason being, in a nutshell, and I'm not a stats expert, so if I'm wrong on something, someone correct me, but I'm pretty sure this is right. Your recenter speed determines how quickly your weapon returns to its starting position from its recoil. 7 kill streak with IR scope and pythons. Sorry, getting pretty excited here just watching this. I love doing well with the IR scope, or at least reasonably well. You're not going to get any beast gameplays with this thing. Or if you do, you're sort of a saint. These are good TDM games. Anyway, back to the point. Your recenter speed determines how quickly your weapon returns from its recoil. So if your recoil was straight up, it would determine how fast it would come back down from coming up. So when you raise your recenter speed, you get the idea. You're not returning to your original recoil very quickly. So not only does it lower your field of view, make the weapon in this ugly blue fuzz, and make you pretty much blind to ghost players, but it makes it one step better and actually increases the recoil. So in other words, Treyarch wants this weapon to be terrible, or wants this attachment to be terrible. Don't use it unless you're just looking for something different. Now that was bad right there. I could have done better. Anyway, if you're going to IR scope a non-sniper rifle, your best choices are actually the Enfield and the M16, and I'll explain why. For those of you that don't know, the M16 has sort of a unique sort of trait where the infrared scope and the ACOG have a similar effect on all weapons in that both of them lower your recenter speed. While in the M16, the ACOG and the infrared actually are increased. So the ACOG and the infrared actually reduces recoil in the M16 by a marginal amount. I mean, you can see a little bit of a difference. So, yeah, that's actually pretty cool. So the M16 is probably the best weapon to IR scope. The next best, you know, I'm excluding sniper rifles in this commentary. Probably your next best bet is actually the Enfield, because the Enfield, for whatever reason, isn't affected by the IR scope in that its center speed remains unchanged. So it's not more or less accurate. I think it would have been cool if Treyarch had just sort of, for no apparent reason, just made it actually made it like the M16 and increase the recenter speed, or decrease the recoil. That way, there would be a nice full automatic weapon for the infrared scope. Because as it stands right now, even with this thing not having its accuracy affected, this is honestly a really bad choice. Because the Enfield has never been one of the stronger long-range assault rifles. And its hip fire has always been kind of lackluster compared to the other, high rate of fire assault rifles or the accurate ones. But whatever. It's still, in my opinion, the best full auto choice for the IR scope. So here we are. So I sort of touched on playing the IR scope. Your secondary should probably, in fact, it should most definitely be Pythons, because your ADS speed on this thing is going to be balls slow, and the Infield has a lousy hip fire. So if you know someone's coming, you should be swapping to your Pythons, which in my opinion are the best secondary. I guess run whatever secondary you're comfortable with at close range, but frankly I can't imagine very much being better than the Pythons. Because they're better than most shotguns up close. I'm getting stunned for days here. See, look how bad that hip fire is. I mean, sure, I'm not a hip fire machine, but that's pretty bad, guys. Of course you want to use this on big, long, open maps with minimal cover. You want Wasteland from Modern Warfare 2, or for those of you not familiar with it, you just want a big, flat, open plain. The IR scope is actually pretty terrible for shooting people that are using cover effectively, because it's going to be hard to stay on target. It's easy to hit station. I mean, it's easy to hit people with it, but if they're moving, you can hit them fine. But the issue, stuttering all over the place. The issue becomes if they're behind cover. This thing is not a precision weapon. It's actually more of a. It's really awkward. It's like a full auto spray sniper rifle, really. So it's basically, think of it as a full auto sniper rifle. You give up accuracy for full auto. And the recoil kicks up and right on the Enfield for pretty much any attachment, any way you use it. So when this thing starts to kick up and right, it's kind of awkward. Well, and for those of you that don't know, I'll do a quick shout out to the Enfield here. This weapon has a really fast aim down sight time, which is nifty for the IR scope. But also, the Enfield gets a unique ACOG scope. It's a SUSAT scope. If you ever tried it, try it out. I'm going to do a commentary and upload on that too, just using weird attachments and stuff. Just a little shout out for the Enfield, one of the more underused assault rifles in Call of Duty Black Ops. I tried to nade this guy and I failed miserably. Now for the perks for your infrared scope. I've tried a lot of different combinations. My first inclination was to do Warlord. That way I could put like an extended mag and an infrared scope, and I could spray for days at somebody. But that didn't really work out because the recoil kicks so hard with this infrared scope. Getting long shots into cover, it doesn't help you. There's nothing wrong with it, but you're really no better off than you were before. And another thing that was nice about the extended mags was that the Enfield was a really slow reload, so it seemed like a viable option, but not really. None of the other tier 2 perk slots are, exciting except for the one you should be using. That was an awkward way of saying that. Let me correct myself. What I'm saying is you should be using Scout Pro as your second perk. The longer hold breath on the IR scope is way more valuable than it would have been on, say, a sniper rifle, where, if you're a sniper and you can take quick shots, you don't really need that. But I'm not that great of a sniper, so I use Scout on my sniper classes. But Scout is great here for numerous reasons, 2 big reasons. But the first is that, well, it just lets you hold your breath longer, and with this weapon you're going to have to pre-scope certain areas hold your breath and just wait for the person to come back if you're trying to hit them behind cover. Or you just might want to have it just so you can hold breath and spray longer. I mean, this isn't like a one-shot, one-kill, or a two-shot like a WA2K. This is a 3 or 4 hits at long range. For those of you who want to try Warlord Suppressor, don't. It was fun for the campaign, I know, on Rebirth, but not so great for this, because putting a suppressor will make this a 4 to 5 shot kill at a distance. That's real bad. You're not going to hit anybody that's in cover with a suppressor. You'd be better off just making a little noise and attracting people to you. So don't suppress this thing with Warlord ever. Put something else on it. So the choice of Scout Pro is deliberate for the longer hold breath, but also, once you get the Pro version, that faster weapon swap, I preach this a lot. It's a great pro perk. When I first unlocked it on my first Prestige, because I didn't look up any pro perks online, I went and unlocked it myself because I wanted, you know, the surprise factor. I was like, oh man, faster weapon swap, that's lame. No, it's absolutely amazing. Reason being, close range, this weapon sucks really bad. I mean, you can hip fire it, but even that's pretty bad, and your ADS is so slow. Very rarely will you be ADSing for a close range encounter. Point is, you know, the faster swap to your pythons, if you hear someone coming up on you with your headset or with just your ears, or you just get someone on your claymore, or whatever, for whatever reason you're alerted someone is coming, or you expecting a close range encounter, that faster pistol swap is so good. People underestimate how powerful the secondaries are, like really close range. Now I know the knife is probably a better option, but you know, it's always nice to have a gun, and double pythons is a lot better than people seem to think. Anyway, moving on. Scout Pro, self-explanatory. It is the best tier 2 perk for this class. I've tested all of them on a whim, and I can tell you that that is the best. I'm convinced, and clearly I am right. Okay, just kidding. But yeah, really, it's the best perk. Best perk 1, this is up for debate. It depends on what you want to do. You know, all the tier 1 perks are good. Flak Jacket's always good and it's self-explanatory, but I don't think it fits this class. Ghost is a strong choice, but you won't have a suppressor to really utilize Ghost to its fullest. And since you're probably camping because the IR Scope is designed to camp, if you're rushing with an IR Scope, you're either really brave or really stupid. So, you're probably camping anyway, so Ghost, not the worst thing. Definitely a strong choice in that it keeps you off the spy planes, but it keeps you from getting like chopper gun. But that's, I don't know, that's really all there is to it. This definitely isn't like a Ghost class that you're going to be. This isn't the best class to corner camp like a dick, if that's what you're into. And this isn't the best class to sort of rush the enemy off a UAV, so Ghost doesn't really have a place here other than the fact it's just the best tier 1 perk in general.
Enemy spy plane incoming.
Hardline's always fine, doesn't do anything special for this class. Really, I think your best choice is going to be, and this, I think there's a guy below me. There actually wasn't, but I'm paranoid. Because I have a contract to get supply boxes, or care packages, the Pandora's box thing, so, you know. There we go, now I'll get a little more brave. More brave. See, the IR Scope's pretty fun. See that kill right there? That was fun. I had a lot of fun using this for all these games. The best tier 1 perk is definitely Scavenger, because you have to spray a lot. Like, you're not going to be getting people sort of minimal amounts of ammo, because you just have to full auto a lot to get people. I know it sounds kind of lame, that, like, you know, you can tap fire this thing, but even when you tap fire, the recoil kicks up and right so bad, you're still not going to hit people in cover like you want to. So, frankly, as far as I'm concerned, oh, that was a good nade that guy got me with him. My nade didn't kill him? Hit marker. What? Okay, sorry. Cool, anyway. Scavenger lets you spray your ammo liberally, and it lets you resupply your ammo, so it pretty much is unlimited ammo when you put Scavenger on, and the addition of extra nades and the resupplying of nades is actually really helpful in this class, because throwing stuns and throwing frags is a good way to kill people that are in that cover that this thing can't kill. Now this is an example where you just can't kill him. You just can't get this guy. I know he's there, and I'm tap firing, but I can't keep the reticle on him. It kicks up, so even if I start shooting down, if I don't start hitting him until it's too high in the air, I don't know. It's just not a good choice. This is where Harden would have been nice. The only Tier 2 perk worth considering besides Scout is Hardened, absolutely, but even that's pretty awkward because once they start hitting you, the view kick isn't what should concern you. Once you get hit with this weapon, you shouldn't be trying to win your gunfight, you should be backing out. See, I just can't get that guy. And he, of course, snipes me with Ghost Pro. And of course, that's how Ghost Pro people look. I mean, you can see them, but it's tough. Ghost pretty much negates the Infrared Scope's advantage and just turns your weapon into a really, really bad assault rifle. I come back here, and I think that guy's still there, but he's actually not. But it's really hard to tell. Got to free kill that guy that's using the PM63. Pretty manly choice himself, just to see a non-assault rifle is exciting, and to see one of the underused SMGs that guy has, my thanks. Yeah, so Scavenger's probably your best perk. You're always tempted to put on Ghost just to get tired of getting killed by spy plane hunters, but first off, using something other than Ghost, I guess, kind of gives you more street cred, but secondly, and this guy kills me because I'm on a spy plane right there. But, you know, whatever. Run what you like, but definitely try Scavenger at least for like 10 games if you're willing to use the IR Scope. I think you'll find it's the best choice on the class. Wow, that took a longer to explain than it should have. Third perk is whatever. None of it really helps the IR Scope. And most of the Tier 3 perks can fit anywhere. Since you won't be running around that much, Marathon is sort of a not needed. Tactical Mask is a good choice because you're using nades anyway, and if you have Tactical Mask Pro, you won't get flashed or anything like that, and furthermore, you'll be able to resupply those nades that you're using to stun people. So, Tac Mask is probably the second best choice. I just prefer using Hacker. Knowing where people are, or where they're trying to camp, is a really big help with this class because you can sort of pre-scope the location with the infrared and pick them up and get them. So that's really why I'm using the three perks that I'm using. Alternative options, as I said earlier, include Hardened and Tactical Mask. Everything else, I think Scavenger really is a lock after extensive testing. Scavenger's what you want. I think Scout's what you want too, but some people like Hardened, but use Scout first, trust me. And finally, I think the third tier perk's whatever you like. Ninja's good, so you can sound where people are trying to come up on you. Hacker's good to find where people are. And last but not least, Tactical Mask is great because you can nade for days. But that's sort of all on the class setup and how to play the IR Scope. I know I've been all over the place with this commentary, but I'm trying to cover every little facet of the weapon when the truth is, no matter how you play it, it's really not that good. Oh, I'm so lucky I got that guy. Wow. If he had a better weapon, I'd be boned. At least I think he had to have a bad weapon to lose that fight. I don't know. A lot of people say the IR Scope is unusable. Oops, hit my dashboard button there. It's not, it's good. Well, the IR Scope is actually terrible, it's not good, but it's not unusable. Nothing in this game is actually unusable. In fact, IR Scope Enfield is probably better than Mini Uzi, period. As long as it's not all the ghost people. If you get a game, don't torture yourself. If there's a lot of ghost people running around, just change classes and wait for a game that doesn't have so many ghost people. Maybe play Domination or reruns Flat Jacket. I'm trying to kill that guy for the last kill. Spray and pray, and he just doesn't go down. He steals my chopper gunner, which I didn't care about. This was the last kill anyway. I wanted my ally to get it though, so I could get some extra experience. Anyway, that's the end of the commentary. Thanks for watching, and give this video a thumbs up if you want to see more gameplays from like weird attachments. Alright, thanks.